Welcome back to Part 3 of DBX ZonePRO Basic Programming. We will pick up where we left off in the Part 2 video, having just completed the configuration wizard. Now that we have come to the end of the wizard, simply press the Finish button and the system is ready to go. Your basic system design is now done and ready to use. This is a good time to save a copy of your settings to the device and to your computer as a backup. In the bottom center section of the ZonePRO program screen, click on the Store button. The Store Scene window will open. You have 50 presets that you may store changes to. At this time, select the one that says Default by clicking on the name Default. Now, with your mouse, highlight the name in the name box and change it to a name that fits your application. I would recommend using the installation location as the name. In this case, I will call it Store X. Now that the scene has been stored, it is time to save a backup to your computer. Click on the File menu option on the menu bar. Click on the Save option. From the Save As window that appears, please choose a location within your computer to save your file. Then, click on the File Name field and type a name for the file. In this case, I will again type in Store X as the file name. Let's take another quick look at the wizard so you can see how fast it really is. I will click on the Wizard menu option and then Configuration Wizard. I will name my inputs and select my input DSP. Click on Next. I will name my output zones, select my crossover type, and select my output DSP. Click on Next. On this page, I will select my zone controller types, name my controllers, and edit the controller settings. Click on Next. On this page, I will add more controllers, if needed. Click on Next. On this page, I assign a wall controller to control input gain, if needed. Click on Next. On this page, I select my controller for source and volume for each zone, and then select my paging needs. Click on Next. And finally, on this page, I will select my front panel control options. Click on Finish. For most applications, you'll find that programming a ZonePRO in the manner you've just seen will take less than 10 minutes. Now that you've set up your ZonePRO inputs, outputs, and controller names and functions, it's time to start setting levels and adjusting DSP. To do this, let's start with the page mic input. Remember that there is a mic preamp on the back of the ZonePRO, and you will need to adjust this first to get the optimum input level. A good place to start would be 12 o'clock on the dial, as seen here. Now that the mic pre is set to the appropriate level, double-click on the Page Mic channel icon on the ZonePRO program screen. On the Page Mic gain window, you will fine-tune your input level with the gain slider until you have a 0 dB input level on the ML1 input meter, seen here. You may also set a high-pass filter from this window to reduce the low-frequency content of the input. For a page mic, I will normally set a high pass of 100 Hz, as the average voice never reaches that low a frequency. You will hear the sound change in real time as you make changes. Click the OK button once you have made your changes. Click Cancel to revert back to the original settings if needed. Now open the CD input gain to set levels for the CD player by double-clicking on the CD input icon as seen here. Again, you will adjust your level until you see a 0 dB input level on the S1 input meter. Repeat this step for the satellite input and any other inputs that remain. Now let's move to the Input Parametric EQ. Double-click on the Page Mic EQ icon. The input EQ gives you 4 bands on each mic line switchable input and 2 bands on the source inputs for the ZonePRO 640. The EQ is normally in bypass, so you will need to turn it on as seen here. Each band or filter in the PEQ gives you control over frequency, Q or bandwidth, and level. I will now set the first EQ band to 100 Hz. You may move the band 1 FC fader or swipe and type as I'm doing now if you know the frequency you want. The EQ will jump to the closest frequency increment available, in this case, 102 Hz. Now I will adjust the Q to 1 and the level to -6 as an example. You will normally set your EQ once you have finished tuning the output zones with the output parametric EQ, bandpass filter or crossover, and delay, which I will cover shortly. With your EQ set, just click on the OK button to close the editor. Repeat this for each input source as needed. With the EQ set, let's move to the input inserts. Double-click on the AFS icon on channel 1 for the page mic. Turn AFS on. The default for AFS gives you 12 feedback filters. 6 are live filters and are used for normal everyday operation. The other 6 are fixed filters, which will be set at time of install. To set the fixed filters, simply turn up the microphone using the input gain until the system starts to feedback slightly. You will see the fixed AFS filters populate as feedback frequencies are identified and feedback is eliminated. Once the first 6 fixed filters have been set, switch to live mode in the mode drop-down menu as seen here. AFS is now set up and ready to operate. You may need to tweak the system a little for optimal performance. Click on OK to close the editor. Now we move to the second DSP insert on the page mic, the compressor. Open the compressor editor. As with all DBX DSP inserts, you will need to turn the compressor on. With the compressor on, you may now adjust the over-easy, threshold, ratio, makeup gain, attack, hold, and release settings. I would recommend switching the auto button to the on position as it will adjust the attack, hold, and release for you for optimal sound quality. The default settings are a good place to start. Adjust as needed. Once you have set your compressor for your needs, click on OK to close. Now let's open the output router, which may be found under the RTE heading as seen here. With the router open, you will see that there are 4 main headings: Source, Priority, Page, and Master. The source will show the current source selected by the ZC3 wall controller once it is connected. Priority was set to none in the configuration wizard, and Page was set to Page Mic, and you see that reflected here. The master level is being controlled by the ZC1 wall controller, and its current level, along with min and max gain settings, is seen on the master fader. It is now time to set the page override or ducking settings. For this, you will need to talk into the mic while adjusting the threshold settings, as seen here. Once you have reached the threshold you desire, you may then adjust the depth, which will allow you to define how far the source is turned down in decibels when paging occurs. You may also adjust the attack, hold, and release. This will define how quickly the page takes over, how long the system stays ducked once the page is finished, and how quickly the system will fade back to the source music. Once this is done, simply click OK to close the editor. That concludes Part 3 of DBX ZonePRO Basic Programming. To continue, please move on to the final video, Part 4.